A blood-curdling shriek erupted through the lecture hall as the Vidian biology professor flashed a terrifying image of a human pet owner gleefully hugging a massive fanged earth beast known as a Rottweiler. Bewildered Vidian students gasped in horror, flinching from the holoprojector, unable to peel their eyes from the ghastly display of a human willingly embracing what seemed to be a lethal predator on the death-world planet of Earth. Grass's knuckles whitened as he gripped his desk, his body temperature spiking, barely able to process the insanity unfolding before him. Humans, the recently discovered sentient species, those warlike primates from the savage planet, didn't just refrain from exterminating the deadly creatures overrunning their world. They befriended them. They took them into their dwellings. They treated them like family. Dr. Zolok's withered finger shook as he gestured at the projection. What you see here, students, is a prime example of the perplexing and dangerous phenomena we refer to as human pet ownership. Unlike any civilization previously encountered, including our own, humans engage in the mind-boggling practice of forming powerful social bonds with lower life forms, particularly with predatory Earth species that would be swiftly euthanized on any sane planet. The astonished students shifted in their seats, quietly conversing with each other. A few rows ahead, Quillix raised a tentative hand. Dr. Zolok, with all due respect, this seems extremely irrational and risky. How can humans justify keeping such threatening creatures in close proximity, especially around their offspring? Have they not suffered massive casualties? Dr. Zolok's face creased into a weary smile. But that's the fascinating aspect. While injuries do occur, human pet ownership is so widespread that it's considered an integral part of their culture and daily lives. The Vidian students leaned forward, their eyes wide with curiosity, as a young human male named Ethan stepped up to the front of the lecture hall. Dr. Zolok nodded to him, signaling for him to begin his presentation on the perplexing phenomenon of human pet ownership. Ethan cleared his throat and smiled warmly at the audience. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan, and I'm here to share with you some insights into the special bond humans share with their pets. He tapped on his holopad, and a series of images and videos appeared on the screen behind him. The first image showed Ethan himself, kneeling beside a large furry creature, with a golden coat and a lolling tongue. This is Max, my golden retriever, Ethan explained, his voice filled with affection. He's been my loyal companion for the past 5 years, and he brings so much joy and love into my life. The next image depicted Ethan cuddling with a smaller, sleek creature with pointed ears and a striped coat. And this is Luna, my tabby cat. She's a bit more independent than Max, but she still loves to curl up on my lap and purr contentedly. Grus and his classmates watched in fascination as Ethan played a video of himself throwing a small round object, which Max eagerly chased after and retrieved, his tail wagging furiously. Another video showed Luna playfully batting at a dangling toy, her eyes wide and focused. The bond between humans and their pets is truly special, Ethan continued. We provide them with food, shelter, and medical care, and in return, they offer us unconditional love, companionship, and emotional support. He went on to explain the history of pet ownership, describing how humans had domesticated wolves into dogs thousands of years ago, forming a symbiotic relationship that benefited both species. Over time, we selectively bred dogs for specific traits, creating hundreds of different breeds that serve various purposes, from hunting and herding to simply being loyal companions. Ethan also touched on the role of pets in human society, such as their use in therapy, search and rescue operations, and assistance for individuals with disabilities. For example, guide dogs are specially trained to help visually impaired people navigate their surroundings safely. And therapy animals like dogs and cats are often brought into hospitals and nursing homes to provide comfort and emotional support to patients. The Vidian students murmured amongst themselves, intrigued by these unfamiliar concepts. Quillix raised a hand and asked, "What about the costs associated with pet ownership? Surely it must be a significant financial burden to care for these creatures." Ethan nodded, acknowledging the question. It's true that pet ownership does come with certain costs, such as food, veterinary care, and sometimes even training. However, for most humans, the emotional and psychological benefits far outweigh the financial costs. We consider our pets to be members of our family, and we're willing to make sacrifices to ensure their well-being. Another student, a female named Zara, inquired about the legal status of pets in human society. Ethan explained that while pets were considered property under the law, there were numerous regulations in place to protect their welfare, such as laws against animal cruelty and neglect. As the presentation drew to a close, Gruss raised his hand, a pensive expression on his face. Ethan, have pets ever been used in warfare or as weapons by humans? Ethan hesitated for a moment before responding. While there have been instances of animals being used in military contexts, such as dogs in ancient battles or dolphins in more recent times, the vast majority of human-pet relationships are based on mutual affection and companionship. We view our pets as beloved friends and family members, not as tools or weapons. Dr. Zolok stepped forward, thanking Ethan for his insightful presentation. "Are there any final questions or comments for our guest speaker?" he asked, scanning the audience. A tentative hand rose from the back of the lecture hall. "Mr. Taylor, have there ever been instances where pets have turned on their human owners or caused harm to others?" the student asked nervously. Ethan nodded, his expression growing serious. "That's a great question, and it's important to address. While such incidents are rare, they can occur, usually due to factors like improper training, abuse, or neglect." He paused, letting the information sink in before continuing. "It's crucial for humans to practice responsible pet ownership and understand animal behavior to prevent these situations from arising." Gruss's interest was piqued by the mention of potential dangers. "Can you tell us about some of the worst-case scenarios involving pets?" he inquired, leaning forward in his seat. Ethan hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the topic. After a moment, he reluctantly shared a few historical examples. There was a case where a chimpanzee kept as a pet severely mauled a human, causing life-altering injuries, and there have been instances of certain dog breeds being involved in fatal attacks, though these are often the result of irresponsible ownership and lack of proper training. A collective gasp rippled through the Vidian students, their initial perceptions of the human-pet relationship as purely positive now shaken. Ethan quickly shifted the conversation back to the overwhelming benefits of pet ownership. "It's important to note that the vast majority of human-pet relationships are incredibly positive," he emphasized. "Numerous studies have shown the physical and mental health advantages for humans who keep pets. They provide companionship, reduce stress and anxiety, and even help lower blood pressure." Ethan went on to discuss the role of pets in fostering empathy, responsibility, and social connections among humans. Caring for a pet teaches children valuable life skills and helps them develop a sense of compassion and empathy. Pets also serve as social catalysts, helping humans form new friendships and connections with others who share their love for animals. Gruss, still somewhat unsettled by the potential risks, raised his hand once more. "Are there any regulations or laws in place to govern pet ownership in human society?" Ethan nodded, appreciating the insightful question. "Yes, there are various legal frameworks designed to ensure the safety and well-being of both pets and humans. These include mandatory vaccinations to prevent the spread of diseases, registration requirements to track pet ownership, and leash laws to keep pets under control in public spaces. There are also strict animal cruelty laws in place to protect pets from abuse and neglect." As the class drew to a close, Dr. Zolok stepped forward, a contemplative look on his face. "Thank you, Ethan, for this enlightening presentation. I encourage all of you," he addressed the students, "to reflect on the complex nature of the human-pet relationship. Consider the potential implications for our own society should we ever choose to adopt a similar practice. The bond between humans and their pets is truly fascinating, and it's clear that it plays a significant role in their lives and culture." As the students filed out of the classroom, Gruss approached Ethan, his mind buzzing with questions. "Ethan, I find the concept of pet ownership fascinating, but I struggle to fully grasp the emotional depth of the bond between humans and their pets. Could you perhaps shed some more light on this for me?" Ethan smiled warmly, his eyes lighting up. "Of course, Gruss. Let me show you a more personal example." He pulled out his phone and tapped the screen a few times, then held it out for Gruss to see. "This is a video of me and my golden retriever, Max, during a recent hiking trip." Gruss watched intently as the video played. Max bounded through the woods, his golden fur shimmering in the dappled sunlight. The dog's tongue lolled out of his mouth as he panted with excitement, darting back and forth to fetch sticks that Ethan threw. At one point, Max leaped into a nearby lake, sending up a spray of water as he paddled around, his tail wagging furiously. Throughout the video, Ethan's laughter and words of praise for Max's energy and enthusiasm filled the air. Gruss couldn't help but notice the genuine affection in Ethan's voice and the pure joy on Max's face as he played with his human companion. As the video ended, Ethan's expression grew more somber. "I had a cat named Whiskers when I was a child," he began, his voice softening. "He was my constant companion, always there to comfort me when I was sad or scared. When Whiskers passed away during my teenage years, I was devastated. The grief I felt was unlike anything I had experienced before." Gruss listened intently, his heart aching for the young human. Ethan continued, "That experience taught me so much about love, loss, and the impermanence of life. It showed me just how profound the impact of a pet can be on our emotions and personal growth." Moved by Ethan's openness and vulnerability, Gruss began to understand the depth of the human-pet bond. His curiosity piqued. He asked, "Are there instances of humans forming strong bonds with more unusual animals, beyond the typical domesticated species?" Ethan grinned, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Absolutely. Some people keep pet pigs, reptiles, and even insects. There's a whole world of unique human-animal relationships out there." He leaned forward, his voice taking on a more serious tone. "There's also the practice of animal-assisted therapy, where creatures like horses, dolphins, and even llamas are used to help humans cope with physical, emotional, or mental challenges. The bond formed between the human and the therapy animal can be incredibly powerful and transformative." Gruss nodded, amazed by the diversity of human-animal relationships and the potential for such bonds to enrich lives and promote well-being. As their conversation wound down, Ethan extended an invitation. "Gruss, if you're interested in learning more, I highly recommend visiting an animal shelter or pet store sometime. Observing human-pet interactions firsthand can offer a deeper understanding of this unique aspect of our culture." Gruss smiled, grateful for the opportunity to gain further insight into the fascinating world of human-pet relationships. "Thank you, Ethan. I think I'll take you up on that offer. There's so much more I want to learn about the incredible bond between humans and their animal companions." Ethan clapped Gruss on the shoulder, his smile wide and genuine. "I'm glad I could share some of my experiences with you. It's always a pleasure to discuss the joys and complexities of pet ownership with someone who's truly interested." Gruss stepped out of the transport, his heart heavy with anticipation as he approached the local animal shelter. The doors slid open, revealing a bustling interior filled with the sounds of barking dogs and meowing cats. As he entered, a friendly human staff member greeted him, her smile warm and genuine. "Welcome. Is there anything specific you're looking for today, or would you like to take a look around?" Gruss nodded, his eyes already scanning the various enclosures. "I'm here to observe and learn more about the human-pet bond. A friend of mine, Ethan, suggested I visit." The staff member's face lit up. "Ah, Ethan. He's a regular volunteer here. We're so grateful for his dedication to these animals. Please, feel free to explore, and let me know if you have any questions." As Gruss wandered through the shelter, he couldn't help but be struck by the level of care and compassion displayed by the staff and visitors. He watched as a young human girl knelt beside a timid, rescued puppy, her gentle voice and soothing touch slowly coaxing the animal out of its shell. The puppy's tail began to wag tentatively, and soon it was nuzzling the girl's hand, seeking more affection. Gruss felt a lump form in his throat as he witnessed the transformative power of this simple interaction. The once frightened puppy now radiated a sense of hope and trust, all thanks to the patient love of a child. Lost in thought, Gruss almost didn't notice the conversation between two staff members nearby. Their voices were hushed, but the gravity of their words pulled him back to reality. "Did you hear about the latest batch of surrenders? Another litter of kittens barely weaned." "It's heartbreaking. The overpopulation crisis is only getting worse, and then there are the abuse cases." "I know. Sometimes I wonder how humans can be so cruel to the very creatures they claim to love." Gruss felt a chill run down his spine as he listened to the staff members discuss the staggering numbers of pets abandoned, abused, or euthanized each year. The idealized picture of pet ownership that Ethan had painted suddenly felt incomplete, lacking the harsh realities that existed alongside the heartwarming moments. With a heavy heart, Gruss thanked the staff and made his way back to the Vidian campus. His mind raced with conflicting emotions and newfound knowledge. He knew he needed to process this information and seek guidance from someone who could help him navigate the complexities of the human-pet relationship. Dr. Zolok's office door was open, and the professor looked up from his desk as Gruss knocked gently on the frame. "Gruss, come in. You look troubled. Is everything all right?" Gruss sank into the chair opposite Dr. Zolok, his shoulders slumped. "I visited the animal shelter today, as Ethan suggested. While I saw incredible displays of compassion and love, I also overheard some disturbing truths about the state of animal welfare on Earth." Dr. Zolok leaned forward, his expression somber. "The human-pet bond is indeed remarkable, but it is not without its challenges. The responsibility of caring for another life is immense, and unfortunately, not all humans are prepared for or capable of meeting those demands." Gruss nodded, his brow furrowed. It made me question whether the concept of pet ownership could ever be successfully introduced to Vidian society. There are so many ethical and societal implications to consider. "You raise a valid point, Gruss," Dr. Zolok replied, steepling his fingers. "While we can admire the love and companionship humans share with their pets, we must also approach the topic with a critical eye. The bond has evolved within the unique context of Earth's history and culture, and transplanting it to our own society would require careful consideration and planning." As Gruss left Dr. Zolok's office, he felt a sense of resolution settle over him. The human-pet relationship was a multifaceted and complex issue, one that could not be easily translated to Vidian culture. There was much to admire in the love and dedication humans showed their animal companions, but there were also significant challenges and responsibilities that came with such a bond. Gruss knew that he had to share his newfound knowledge with his classmates to encourage them to approach the subject of human pets with both appreciation and caution. They needed to recognize the unique context in which this bond had evolved on Earth and understand that adopting similar practices would require careful thought and planning. As he walked through the campus gardens, Gruss couldn't shake the image of the young girl and the rescued puppy from his mind. Despite the challenges and hardships he had learned about, that moment of pure connection and compassion continued to resonate within him. It was a testament to the power of the human-pet bond and a reminder of the incredible capacity for love and understanding that existed within the human species. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.